What's up, everybody? My name is Brad, and today I've got another book review for you, and I'm going to be talking about Star Wars from a certain point of view. And this was a book I listened to on audiobook. I checked it out from my library using the Overdrive app, I think it's called. This is my second audiobook. The first one was I'll Be Gone in the Dark recently, and this one is, like I said, my second one. And I'm starting to really like audiobooks. I didn't know how I would feel about them, but I feel like if it's something either like true crime or something familiar to me like Star Wars is, it's easier for me to digest since I sort of know what's going on. Or like with true crime, if I miss just a tad bit here or there, it's not going to ruin the plot for me since it's all stuff that really happened. But I thoroughly enjoyed this. What this is an anthology. It is a anthology collection celebrating 40 years since Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, came out in 1977. This book came out in 2017. So that's the original Star Wars movie, the very first one. And this is 40 short stories celebrating 40 years since A New Hope came out. So going into this, if you have never seen A New Hope for whatever reason, spoilers, obviously. I'm not going to spoil the stories themselves, but the format of the book, it takes place, coincides with the movie itself. So it starts out at the beginning of the movie and follows along until we get to the end of the movie, and there's stories along the way. Something I really liked about this is, for the most part, there are maybe 3 or 4 stories that involve major characters like Obi-Wan and Yoda and Palpatine, but all the other stories are really about background characters. We get their perspectives. Someone maybe that was on screen for just a few seconds, or someone maybe that would just be right off screen. So that was my favorite part of the book, was getting these stories from characters we virtually know nothing about. And it made the Star Wars galaxy feel more real, feel more alive, feel more lived in. That these background characters that we see for just a few seconds on screen, they're given names and stories and character development and stuff, beyond what we see in the movie. Beyond our heroes that we see in our villains. So it just made the galaxy feel more alive, more lived in, expanded the galaxy a lot, which I really enjoyed. I'm going to go through the stories. Like I said, there are 40 stories. I'm going to go through the title of each one real quick, who wrote it, and just a really quick little bit about what the story's about, so we don't get a 40-minute long video. And then at the end, I'm going to tell you my top 3 favorite stories out of the collection. But like I said, this was a blast. I really enjoyed it. It was on audiobook, and it was 14 or 16 hours or so. So it was a good chunk of a book. I think the paperback or hardcover is like 450 some odd pages or so. But I'm going to get into, like I said, the stories. I did want to say this is, the book came out in 2017. I don't remember if Rogue One was out in theaters yet. I'm assuming it was, because it does reference a lot of things from Rogue One, like the Battle of Scarif and Orson Krennic and stuff. So I liked that part, that the movie was incorporated as well. It fit within canon, and it didn't exclude stuff from a movie that had been released already. It made everything feel more cohesive. But enough rambling. I'm going to get into the stories. Number 1 is Ramus. This is written by Gary Whitta. This is about Captain Antilles on deck of the Rebel blockade runner. If you see Rogue One, at the very end, the guy who hands Princess Leia the plans of the Death Star, that is Ramus Antilles. So that's who that is about. The second one is The Bucket by Christy Golden. This is about one of the stormtroopers that's boarding the Rebel blockade runner with Darth Vader when they're searching for the plans, and they're searching for captives and stuff like that. The Sith of Data Work by Ken Liu. This is about an Imperial who has to fill out forms for basically everything, and another Imperial comes to her, and he is the one who decided not to fire upon the escape pod when it ejected, that had C-3PO and R2-D2 in it, and he fears he's going to get in trouble, so he wants to fill out some paperwork to sort of get around him getting in trouble. Stories in the Sand by Griffin McElroy. This is about a Jawa who scavenges some droid parts and he's able to use their memories to sort of play holograms about what they have seen and what action they've been through. I really enjoyed that one. That one would be an honorable mention. Next up is Rearin by Sabah Tahir. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right. But this is about a sand person or Tusken Raider who creeps into the Jawa Sandcrawler and is trying to steal something. The Red One by Ray Carson. This is about the R2 unit that Luke's uncle Owen buys and blows his capacitor, and they end up getting R2-D2 instead. This is a story about that droid. Rights by John Jackson Miller. This is about the Tusken Raiders who end up attacking Luke Skywalker and the droids. Master and Apprentice by Claudia Gray. This is a story about Obi-Wan and his dead master Qui-Gon and him manifesting himself through the Force as a Force ghost. Beru, White Sun Lars by Meg Cabot. This is a story about Luke Skywalker's Aunt Beru and what her life could have been like if she didn't marry Owen Lars. The Luckless Rodian by Renee Adich. This is a story about Greedo, and we see who shoots first. Not for Nothing by Mur Lafferty is about the band, the Bith band that we see in the cantina, that's playing the song everybody knows. This is about sort of the troubles they go through before they end up playing there in the cantina. We Don't Serve Their Kind Here by Chuck Wendig. This is about the barkeeper of the cantina and why he doesn't like droids and sort of his day-to-day life. The Cluehorn Cantina Caper by Kelly Sue DeCornick and Matt Fraction. This is about a lot of the ne'er-do-wells, the sort of sinister aliens and stuff we see in the cantina, and sort of a caper and schemes against each other that plays out over a day or two. Next up is Added Muscle by Paul Dini. This is a Boba Fett story, and that's all I'll say about that. You Owe Me a Ride by Zoraida Cordova. This is about the Tonica sisters and them trying to get a new ride to get off Tatooine. If you've seen A New Hope, there's two twin girls at the cantina scene, and those are the Tonica sisters. They're only on screen for just a few seconds. The Secrets of Long Snoot by Delilah S. Dawson. This is about in the movie, there's the sort of the cloaked character, and it sort of looks like he has an elephant nose, and he's the one that tells the Imperials where the Millennium Falcon, what docking bay it's in. This is about his story and why he's doing what he's doing. Born in the Storm by Daniel Jose Older. This is about a disgruntled stormtrooper who had been searching on Tatooine for R2-D2 and C-3PO. Liana by Will Wheaton. This is about the lookout that's on Yavin 4. If you've seen the movie where the ships take off, there's sort of the guy in a little tower, and it looks like he's got a radar gun. This is about him and his family. Fully Operational by Beth Revis. This is about the advisors meeting on the Death Star, where Tarkin comes in and said that the Imperial Senate has been disbanded, and the little argument they have with Darth Vader involved. Incident Report by Mallory Oathberg. This is about the Imperial officer filing an incident report against Darth Vader for choking him out. Change of Heart by Elizabeth Wein. This is about one of the Imperials that is along with Darth Vader as they go to interrogate Princess Leia. Eclipse by Madeline Rowe. This is about Bria Organa and Bell Organa and the destruction of Alderaan. That one was a really good one as well. Verge of Greatness by Pablo Hidalgo. This is about Tarkin, Grand Moff Tarkin, taking control of the Death Star after it has been successfully tested away from the clutches of Orson Krennic. The Trigger by Kieran Gillen. This is a Dr. Aphra story. If you don't know who Dr. Aphra is, she's a character that was created in the comic books. She's sort of a rogue archaeologist, basically like Indiana Jones if he were to be a Star Wars character. This is about her on the planet of Dantooine, where the old rebel base used to be. Of MSE6 and Men and MES6 is a mouse droid, so it's Of Mice and Men by Glenn Wilden. This is a story about a mouse droid. This was my least favorite story in the whole collection. Actually didn't really like it at all. It ended up being really annoying, to be honest. It could have been good if it was short. It was like 50 minutes long, which was way too long, and it was super repetitive. Every time, like, the mouse droid kept doing these diagnostic tests, and it just kept repeating the same thing over and over and over again. And it got to the point where I almost just wanted to skip it completely, but I saw it through. But that one was my least favorite story out of all of them. Next one is Bump by Ben Aker and Ben Blacker. This is about the stormtrooper that accidentally bumps his head on the door in the Death Star. End of Watch by Adam Christopher. This is, let's see, this is about the Imperials in the control room on the other end of the call from Han Solo when they're escaping from the cell block. The Baptist by Needy Okafor. This is about the slimy one-eye stalk creature that's in the trash compactor in the Death Star. Time of Death by Cavan Scott. This is about the moment of Obi-Wan Kenobi's death when he's cut in half by Darth Vader. There is Another by Gary D. Schmidt. This is about Yoda and his time on Dagobah and what he's up to, and him wanting to train Princess Leia. Palpatine by Ian Dosher. It's a poem about Palpatine learning that Obi-Wan had still been alive and his ultimate death at the hands of Darth Vader. Sparks by Paul S. Kemp is about a Y-Wing pilot and his attack run on the Death Star. Duty Roster by Jason Fry. This is about Fake Wedge, and this is going to get super nerdy, but in the movie, there's a scene where it's Wedge Antilles, but it's a different actor and they switch actors. So there's a whole fake Wedge sort of thing going on. But this is about Fake Wedge and other pilots getting picked to go on the Death Star run because they have more pilots than they have ships available. So some pilots have to stay behind. Desert Sun by Pierce Brown. This is a story about Biggs Darklighter, which was Luke Skywalker's friend. They grew up on Tatooine together. Grounded by Gary Rucka. This is a mechanic who's worked on all these X-Wings and Y-Wings, listening to the Death Star attack run and sort of making note every time one of the pilots dies, whether it was mechanical failure, TIE fighter blew him up, or whatever it is. Contingency Plan by Alexander Freed. This is about Mon Mothma and her plans and what she would do to save the rebellion if Yavin 4 was destroyed by the Death Star. The Angle by Charles Soule. This is a story about Lando Calrissian and him gambling. By Whatever Sun by E.K. Johnston and Ashley Eckstein. This is during the award ceremony at the end of the movie about some people who had lived or used to live on the planet Alderaan and sort of their emotional celebration. And the last one is Wills by Tom Engelberger. So I'm going to get really nerdy. When George Lucas was originally creating Star Wars, he had the idea that it was going to be sort of a history story, and we would be basically getting this from like passed down through generations and reading it out of a book. And it was going to be called the Journal of the Wills, and the Wills were going to be these force entities or whatever that wrote down the history of Star Wars. This one's sort of tongue-in-cheek. It breaks the fourth wall about the narrators of Star Wars and them writing the opening crawl for the movie, and one of them doesn't like the words he's using, and instead of saying a galaxy a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, it's not that far away. So that one's kind of a comedy one, and it was only just a couple minutes, but it was enjoyable as well. But that is all the stories. So let me pick my favorite ones on here. So my number 3 story, if I can find out where it is. Number 3 story was Master and Apprentice by Claudia Gray, and that's about Obi-Wan Kenobi and Qui-Gon Jinn. My number 2 story was There Is Another by Gary D. Schmidt, and this is about Yoda wanting to train Yoda instead of Luke. And my number 1 story is Time of Death by Cavan Scott, and this was when Obi-Wan was killed by Darth Vader. You know, I know these are all about side characters and stuff, and my 3 favorite stories are either about Obi-Wan or Yoda, but they were just the most well-written and the most impactful, in my opinion, especially Time of Death. You know, it was an audiobook, and the production for the audiobook was great. You know, it was a cast of narrators. There was like 8 to 10 different narrators, if I remember correctly. But it had sound effects and it had the Star Wars music and some of the things. And it was just overall, it was a great production. But Time of Death, you know, it's when he's dying. I don't want to get too much into it, but the music swelled up and it actually gave me, you know, goosebumps there at the end of that story when I was listening to it. So that one's definitely my favorite one. Overall, I gave this anthology 4.5 stars out of 5. I knocked off half a star because that one story, I really didn't like it. Honestly, it was kind of annoying. So I knocked it down half star because of that. All the other ones obviously like more stories than others, but overall it was a fantastic collection. If you're a Star Wars fan, I definitely think you should check this out. If you're only a fan of the movies, especially if you like the original movies, I still think you should check it out because, like I said, this goes along chronologically with the first movie, A New Hope, and it's all about characters or side characters that are in the movie, on screen, just more about their lives. And I think if you enjoyed the movie, you'll enjoy this book as well. But that's all I have for you guys today. Again, this has been Star Wars, A Certain Point of View, an anthology in celebration of A New Hope, the 40-year anniversary. I probably rambled on too long about it. I don't know how long this video has gone on. But that's all I have for you guys today. So thanks for spending your time with me. Again, my name is Brad, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.